On today's episode of the Three Amigos podcast, we are talking about The Flash. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, or we will destroy the multiverse.
Welcome back, beautiful people. This is the Three Amigos podcast. Frankie Rodriguez, Anthony Ola, and Christopher Langsdorff on deck. We are back 3 for 3, and today we're talking the new Flash movie, which I already forgot the full title. Is it just called The Flash? I really don't care about this movie. Like afterwards, like as I let it sink, I just don't care about this movie. I'm gonna start things off. We're talking about our personal feelings. Spoilers ahead. If you don't want to listen to this, if you have any ambition or any motivation to see this film, completely respect to you. Go watch it if you want. Our opinions don't matter. This is my personal opinion, but spoilers ahead. Yeah, this movie was so just forgettable to me. I think I preferred to watch a sequel to 65.
Well,
Right.
I feel like we should start with the positives.
Of course.
Because that'll be a pretty short part of the show.
Damn, the rest of what a roast in itself.
Bro.
Anthony liked the movie, so I thought
sounds like he liked it. Yeah, he was like, go watch. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
sure.
So we should toss it to him.
Let's toss it to you,
the guy who liked it. Go ahead, man. What was what are some of your positives?
Well, obviously Michael Keaton. And I had this opinion for a while, and some people agree, some people don't. Ben Affleck is still, to me, one of the best Batmans on screen, like hands down.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure.
And then I agree that the story, some bits of the story could have been a little better, but in terms of like Ezra Miller, I don't really know. I mean, who likes Ezra Miller anyway? But I don't think he's a good choice for Barry, and I had some problems with like some of the other casting, but I think the story overall was interesting for me. Even with the the whole Supergirl thing and the whole Zod thing. Some of the combat that was in the movie, yes, the CGI was dog shit. But I enjoyed it because I felt like a kid watching it. Just some of the things that I saw, mostly with the Keaton stuff, like I felt like a kid again, and it was just enjoyable. The humor was, both good and bad, but what I did like was, we used to make fun of his run, and I think the way his legs moves it makes sense to me a bit, and it's growing on me, but the way his arms move is still ridiculous. Like his arm movement is shitty as hell. But with his feet movement, it kind of makes sense where he's like kind of gliding through like time or whatever, because he's not really gonna take every step. So that makes sense for me. It's just this fucking arm thing that was fucking stupid, but it was an interesting idea. I would have done something a little differently, but it was interesting.
Yeah. Michael Keaton was great. Supergirl was great. Yeah, I liked that they, for the most part, felt like they I don't know, like most of the Flash's abilities were showcased. I love the suit in the ring. That's just such a cool little Flash thing that he does. That was cool to see. Oddly enough, my favorite part of the movie was this little detail where he goes to get the beer from the refrigerator, and he like has to phase through the wall to get to clearly stealing them from somebody else's apartment. And then when he opens them up, it like explodes.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like such a small detail, because obviously he's shaking the beer really fast. So when he opens it, it should explode. It
should break.
Right. It's like, I don't know if I would have noticed if it didn't, but it's a cool detail. Somebody writing it or watching it was like, oh no, we should have the beer like explode when he opens it, because that makes sense. I was like, somebody in the room paid attention, and I like that.
Yeah.
There were a lot of little like cool little Flash details. Actually, well, we should preface, Ezra Miller sucks. Like as a person, he's just a bad person. He, they, I hate having to respect this person's pronouns because I don't like them. But I thought that the older Barry Allen was actually pretty good in terms of like the version of Barry Allen that I had wanted to see in the, what was it, Justice League? Was that where they first introduced him?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So it felt like he did grow up a bit between like the clearly like bumbling 16-year-old that he goes back in time and meets, and like
19,
this current.
18.
Yeah, I can't remember how. Well, they said freshman in high school. I
Freshman
don't know.
year in college.
Oh, in college. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, but either way, meets an older, younger version of himself. It's like way more talkative and annoying. So much so that it annoys him, which is just kind of a funny detail. But yeah, I mean, there were some good like details in the movie, and I like that they made fun of his run in the movie. They
Yeah.
they made fun of his dumb run.
Yeah.
That was a fun little. There were like these little moments, and like obviously Supergirl, her suit looked great. That actress was fantastic.
I thought she was great. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Keaton was really good, and that's all the good stuff I have. So over to you, Frankie.
Okay. And I don't want to say too much other that's been said. You know, like Michael Keaton was fantastic. You know, he's a seasoned actor. Love the lines. Love everything about about him and his character. You know, our childhood and all. At times though, I felt like I was being slighted because I'm like, I feel like this is being wasted. Um, and I still feel that way in a way. Like it feels like it was a little wasted, but it was still fun.
These
It
are
was
your
cool.
positives about the
I
movie.
know. What can I say? Like, look, besides the acting, that's about it. The story was so meh. The CGI was awful, and we can't even put that as a down so much because like it was noticeably bad, and it was like now I'm almost starting to think it was on purpose. Like
No, they ran out of money.
they ran
They
out of
ran out
money.
of money.
I'll give you a couple more
Yeah.
positives.
Okay, yes.
Sure.
Some of the cameos
Meh.
and the fact that
Yeah.
his mother is Hispanic.
Yeah, so I pointed that out to Chris. Like, what is he like?
Yeah, that was fun.
Argentinian, Spanish? Like she like Spanish from like Europe or something? Like I don't know. That was pretty cool. Like she's Spanish speaking, which I think I caught that once. Like I think when he first got introduced, like he spoke Spanish or something. I don't know. So I don't know. It was cool. Whatever. That was nice. You're right. Nice touch.
And then the cameos for me was good. Like,
They weren't cameos. Or are you talking about like the ending of the movie, or are you talking about like the Justice League being shoehorned
Justice
into
League,
the
like
movie?
Wonder Woman and
Right. The
Batman.
10
and then,
seconds that Wonder Woman was in the movie.
yeah,
I
and the
guess, but
CGI Clark Kent, or AKA rest in peace Henry Cavill. And all the CGI.
Yeah.
So this, all right. I'm just gonna go into the bad. I'm sorry. Fuck this. If you like this movie, I have no judgment towards you. But I was starting to hear how like this movie was fantastic, and there was a lot of fan service. I'm like, what fan service is there for me, for someone who grew up watching DC? I feel like someone just spread their ass cheeks and took a giant shit on my childhood with that awful CGI. The only good thing about like the cameo or surprise or fan justice was Christopher Reeve Superman. I don't know how the hell they just saved all the money and when it went towards that, because that shit looked pretty good. I thought that was really Christopher Reeve back from the grave. That was pretty good. But everything else, like CGI, Nicolas Cage, Superman. Seriously?
From a thing that never happened.
From a thing that never happened.
They had literally like other Supermen, like Brandon Routh and Tom Welling, that actually did stuff. Why they chose to include Nicolas Cage's unmade Superman movie is true. Like that. The more baffling thing to me was not having Grant Gustin in the movie at all.
Yeah.
Which is like the only reason this movie even exists in the first place, is that they made a Flash TV show that lasted for like 10 years.
So I think the reason they put Nicolas Cage was it was supposed to be made by Tim Burton. And because we have Keaton and Batman, that kind of makes sense. But I mean, I thought it was cool for like those who wanted to see him. I'm not a big Nicolas Cage guy, but like I thought it was cool seeing.
But he was never Superman.
I know.
That's my he was never Superman. Like ever. In any the Christopher Reeve stuff is also so frustrating because like they had 4 movies to pull actual footage. Like why are you CGI? Like the stuff with the CGI that was so annoying was sometimes they were showing you CGI moments that had just happened in the movie. And it was like, just roll the footage again. Why are you giving us CGI of stuff we just watched it happen. Like,
I don't know. Like I would have even I would have even forgiven them if they gave me like animated series shit too. I would have
oh,
lost
that
my
would have been
shit.
cool.
I don't even care that they kind of pulled. They would have done like kind of like an opposite effect with like how in Across the Spider-Verse they did a live action stuff.
Kevin Conroy Batman being one of the
Yeah.
worlds, that would have been cool.
Like,
Yeah.
come on, like you gotta give me some justice for that. At one point, okay, so like now we're skipping towards the end for the insane random cameo, which was fucking George fucking Clooney. That I lost my shit for. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Where's fucking
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger? Where's Uma Thurman? Where's I don't even know the wrestler who played fucking Bane? Like, am I being fucked right now? At one point I thought on the phone it was Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon, excuse me, Kevin Conroy.
Mm,
Funny thing, Kevin Bacon's name wasn't mentioned in this fucking movie, which is hilarious.
yeah.
So I thought that's who it was on the phone, but I'm like, it's not Ben Affleck's voice. That's not
No.
Bruce Wayne.
Which Barry didn't seem to notice, which is weird.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm confused how this like super smart, like what is he, like a biochemist or something, like works in
He's
forensics.
a crime scene
Yeah.
investigator.
Right, but he has to have
He
like
can't
a
tell the
biology
difference
degree.
between George Clooney's voice and Ben Affleck's voice. It didn't sound anything like him on the phone.
No.
Yeah, I think that's the problem I have like looking back on this movie. I'm just like,
Some of the continuity and some of the things like you already know you're fucking shit up.
yeah,
You fuck shit up.
it's
Why was it okay? And you pointed this out earlier. Is like, why is it okay to hug your mom and have this life lesson story from her, knowing that she's gonna die and you're not supposed to be intervening? You're not even supposed to be interacting with her. Batman
right.
already warned you, and then the way they kind of set it up. Of course, it was Batman that was gonna change because he's the one that warned Barry. So
Well, the funniest thing about that scene at the end with his mom, why did he put on a hat and sunglasses?
yeah, if he was just
He's
gonna,
like 22 years old. She would have
Oh,
no idea what he looked
because
like.
the other version of him with the suit was there, so he didn't want to like run into him and have him see him.
no, but he had already left.
Yeah, he was a little kid.
Right. He put the hat and stuff on. Then he was by the aisle, and then the other version of him ran past him, and then he
I
just
feel
kept
like
it on.
no, but like again, like to Chris's points, like it was fruitless because like you know where he's gonna pop up. Just if anything, they could have done like it's just now it is a little nitpicky. Just stand behind where you're like he's gonna be because you know where
Yeah.
you entered, and then
This is the guy who couldn't tell the difference between George Clooney and Ben Affleck. He's not gonna know where to strategically stand in the.
he planned to put the fucking tomatoes on top so he could help his father get out of jail. Again,
Right.
another thing he shouldn't have done.
Dude, it's so confusing because Batman is literally like, dude, if you step on a blade of grass, you're gonna like alter the entire future. And then he's like, okay. I figured it out. Like I screwed everything up. I watched Batman die twice. I watched Supergirl die twice. Like I figured it all out now. And then he's like in the supermarket moving the tomato paste to a different level and getting. I'm like, dude, and you're having a full conversation with your mom. I'm like, how is this different? You're like fucking with the. I just like so much of this movie feels like at some point it was just written by AI. Like I'm thinking back to the scene where I'm like trying to imagine like reading the script and it's like both Barrys walk into the kitchen at Wayne Manor. Bruce is hiding in the cupboard. He jumps out and tries to beat them both up and throws a rolling pin at one of them and then makes them spaghetti. And that's how he describes what happens with the time. I'm like, what? Spaghetti? Like, I guess it was a good thing he's boiling water because then the spaghetti thing was a good analogy for the different timeline stuff.
Yeah, it didn't. That didn't sit well with me either.
I'll say what didn't sit well with me was the baby scene. Like
that was really that was part of some of the worst CGI too.
That was a good, but it's almost like that was a good like precursor to like prepping you for the bad CGI. Because as soon as I saw the babies and the dog, I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be rough. They ran out of money. I get that they can't say that. They can't come out and be like, yeah, the CGI sucks because we ran out of money. We did so many reshoots. They changed the whole movie. Like there was a point where Michael Keaton's Batman was supposed to be the new Batman in the DCEU. Like they had him in the Batgirl movie. That was gonna lead into like a Batman Beyond movie where he becomes Terry McGinnis's mentor. So they changed all that because they decided to blow up the DCEU. So they had to kill him off. So they had to basically reshoot the end of the Flash movie to kill him off instead of building the DCU around him. And it is so weird. Like watching this movie was such a weird experience because like the fact that the final battle, quote unquote, took place in a fully CGI Speed Force between 3 versions of Ezra Miller should tell you everything you need to know about the rush job that was trying to find a way to make the end of this movie make sense since they decided to blow the DCEU up while they were making the movie. Like I don't get like honestly, I said this to Frankie. I'm like, why didn't they just take the tax credit? Like, if this was better than Batgirl, a movie that they deemed so bad they couldn't release it, and I'm like, I really don't. Clearly, this is not James Gunn decision because I don't know who made the call to release this one instead of taking the tax credit because the movie doesn't matter.
It really
It's
doesn't.
like, why even bother? That like the whole end of this movie, it's so inconsequential. They don't do anything. It doesn't
Yeah.
change
Even the post
anything
credit
in
was
the
stupid.
DC universe.
Like,
Right.
Because I will
Aquaman.
say the whole like Dark Flash thing, it kind of sucked with like it wasn't like a satisfying like
it wasn't.
conclusion. So that
They
part kind
also
of
don't.
sucked.
Well, like the whole point about his mom dying, it's like a major plot point in the Flash's character of who kills his mom.
Yeah, it's
So
the Reverse
it
Flash, yeah.
right, but it's so weird to use. That's what I'm saying. It's like this movie was clearly they were doing something else, and then they had this whole thing with James Gunn and decided to blow up the DCEU, and they clearly changed it because to have the Flashpoint sort of Flashpoint storyline in this and to never reference who killed his mom is bizarre.
And you know what's
And it's
crazy?
like, yeah,
If they did the Flashpoint story like in the animated one in the comics, you're gonna have Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, you're gonna have Jason Momoa Aquaman, Jeffrey Dean Morgan Batman, you're gonna
yeah.
have
Cyborg becomes the new Superman,
and you
like
have what's his
Superman
name?
Cyborg or whatever.
Zachary Levi to play in that one was Captain Thunder. Like they could have done
Yeah.
it.
It's weird because I was thinking too, like this movie's already so long, and in my opinion, it's long at the worst points of the movie. It's like because the best part is when Batman, Supergirl, and both Flashes are fighting Zod. That's I think the best part of the movie, the most fun. They're like using all these Flash moves. They do the tornado thing that the Flash does. Like that's
Yeah.
cool. But that was like I don't know, maybe a total of 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. And then they just kind of run it back because they have to, for some reason, kill Batman again.
What about the part in
I-
Russia? Was that cool for you?
Yeah, well, actually, what I liked about that was that it referenced sort of the Flashpoint thing where they find Superman and he's like this shriveled up.
Mm-hmm.
But that was different because I thought, like, in the Flashpoint movie, the government captured, like, the U.S. government
Yeah, because he
captured him.
landed in Metropolis and the US government
Yeah.
captured him.
It just, like, man, as soon as they said Russians, I was like, oh my God, this was written by a robot. Like, this was like, just blame it on the Russians, those evil Russian bastards. Like, they stole Superman. I'm like, that's not
Yeah.
even, there's a whole other story about Russian Superman. It's so, it's like I couldn't tell who the movie was for. Because, like, part of me, it's like, when you made it this long, just make it 3 hours, make it 3.5. Like, put in every bit of shit you wanted to cram into this movie. You should have just crammed it all in so that all the Snyder first people could have at least, I don't know, been happy because it's trimmed down to a point where if you're a fan of the Flash, this is like a bad Flash movie because it's not about him as much as it should be, even though he's in like 98% of it, but it turns into like it's about Batman's parents and who's Batman without his dead parents, and that's about Supergirl is kidnapped. And General Zod apparently is a point in time that was always going to happen. And they're kind of just picking and choosing these, like, what do they call them in like Marvel, like Nexus events or whatever? Like they have to happen.
Canon events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolute points, whatever Doctor Strange called it.
So let me ask you this. So in Batman versus Superman, we have that scene where Bruce Wayne is in Metropolis during the Zod attack. In this movie, Barry is in Metropolis during the Zod attack. How do you feel about Barry being there?
It's fine.
I
It
thought
didn't
that
matter.
made sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I could see that.
Because
I mean,
I'm
it's
wondering,
convenient. Like, I don't know why he would have been there.
because I'm wondering,
Because he
like,
doesn't live in the city, but
if they did another like if they kept the universe the same and it was like a Green Lantern movie, yeah, I was there, but I couldn't control the ring, so I couldn't help somebody. And Starbuck was like, "Oh, I had a football game as a visiting team, and I didn't have my."
He's playing football instead.
So that's why I was like, for me, I was like, they're gonna just do that, like for each character.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Billy
Everybody
was in
conveniently
was in an
there.
orphanage in Metropolis at one point.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like in the moment, and I wanted to like the movie because I was
Same.
always a huge fan of the Flash character, but I was a fan of like Justice League Unlimited Flash, like not just any Flash
Wally
character, the
West.
one we grew up with.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to like this movie, but like Frankie said, like the more I thought about it afterwards, I'm like, this kind of sucked. Like it didn't, it felt like it didn't go far enough with any of its ideas, partially because the movie itself was like a start and stop of these different, they were going to go in a totally different direction with the whole universe and then killed the universe. So they said, well, now we got to go back and kill Supergirl. We got to kill Batman. And we have to basically end the movie at a point that makes so little sense that we would never revisit this world ever again. Although they said they're not going to recast Ezra Miller, which I don't believe. I think they just said that because the movie's coming out, so you're not going to be like, oh yeah, and also this guy's out of the job. Like,
All right.
They kicked Henry Cavill out. Like, obviously Ezra Miller's gone too. Gal Gadot,
in terms
they're
of
all
that,
gone.
because it seems like the only actor who's returning for the James Gunn universe is Viola Davis. Would any of the
He said Momoa's like he would like to have Momoa back and Gal Gadot, but I don't know how
right,
true
but
that
isn't
is.
Momoa going to play Lobo?
No,
That was a rumor, but
that was
who
a rumor. It
knows?
wasn't
So
confirmed.
anyway, because I know Shazam had their end credit had like a little tease about him coming back. But if they had to choose at least one of these actors and characters to come back for the James Gunn, who would you choose? And
Ben
I'm
Affleck
assuming it's all
immediately.
okay.
Ben
I thought
Affleck.
it'd be between him and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I mean Gal Gadot's fine, but Ben Affleck just he deserves more.
He
He's a
does,
good
but the reason why I
Batman.
say Wonder Woman is because she had the most appearances out of all these other characters within the DC universe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because she had her two movies, the BVS, Justice League. She was in Shazam, she was in Flash, and I think there was another one she was in. Oh, she was in Peacemaker at the end.
Yeah.
So I mean, she
I
had the most
guess.
appearances. But I'm
I
like,
don't
you
think
guys
she
keep bringing her
was.
back.
I think it was just Arthur and Barry.
No, she was there.
I think it was just a stand-in, but I don't think it was actually her. I don't
Oh,
like
close
she didn't have a talk. She didn't have a talking role, and I don't think she's credited.
Interesting.
I'm pretty sure she wasn't in that. It was just Momoa and Ezra.
I want to know what happened with Grant Gustin, man. I really want to know. I just don't get it.
Don't think
I
so hard.
don't understand.
Why are you thinking so hard? Why are you thinking so hard?
Oh yeah, you're right. I think it was just a stand-in. Yeah, you're right.
Well, because Grant Gustin is the Flash. Like you had.
He's not. No, he's not.
You know, speaking of, so because I've been rewatching the Flash show, and I got to a point where it's boring again. But like, as a character, that Barry Allen is kind of a shitty Barry Allen, like in terms of what he does and his like morals and everything. But I think if they offered him the job, would he do it? Because he was Flash for 9 years, and it's like, does he want to keep doing it? Or
I wouldn't.
No, it's more. I'm just surprised he didn't get a cameo because we got CGI Nick Cage, who never.
And it's funny because Ezra Miller did a cameo in the CW show.
Right, so he knows canonically he knows that this version of the Flash exists.
I will
So
say I did
bizarre, like so
appreciate
bizarre.
the Jay Garrick cameo. That was cool for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
figured.
Frankie and I popped for that one. That was
For you,
fun.
Yeah,
man. It was just for
because
you.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah,
yeah, that was cool to see. I mean, but do they not have real footage of him? He was in the Flash TV show.
yeah.
Like, I don't. I'm so
Actually,
like,
it's funny because he was the first Flash actor from like the '90s show, and
yeah.
then he played his dad in the CW show, and then he was Jay Garrick, which was his dad's doppelganger from the other universe. So there is footage of him as both regular Flash and Jay Garrick Flash.
So that's what I mean when I say like this really feels like a movie that was like released. I brought this up of like the timing of where they released this movie, and it just really felt orchestrated. Of like it wasn't done. So, like, I mean, it wasn't done in the sense of like the CGI looked like shit. And clearly, I guess someone didn't want to sift through the like old footage of Flash TV shows and movies and shit to find scenes to use in the big exploding globe finale of the movie. But like they released it like 2 weeks after Spider-Verse. They released it prior to uh what's coming out at the end of this month? Wasn't there something big? Oh no, it's July with Oppenheimer and Barbie and Mission Impossible.
Mm.
So they chose this month on purpose, and it's like a Shazam situation. It's like this movie was always fucked
Yeah.
because it's just not. I think I actually like Shazam 2 better, but they're both not that good. They're just
I will
but
say
this,
this:
yeah.
since you guys don't like it as much, you know there might be a really high chance it's gonna get a really badass steelbook cover.
Yeah,
Oh
probably.
yeah, for sure, for sure. It'll have like every Flash and Batman from all of history, like with some sick ass artwork. Yeah.
Speaking of when younger Flash used the Batman suit to make his own suit, it was like a kind of like a funny montage. But I was like, you guys are doing too much humor for this thing because you made it really fucking stupid. Like he comes out and the mask is all like misplaced and shit, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, like
that's funny.
it was funny when he cut the ears off of it, but now you're doing this all
Yeah,
stupid I can't see shit. Like I'm like, come on, bro.
I know, but it's a Flash movie. The Flash is the only comedic character in the whole Justice
But
League.
that's Wally West, not
Yeah,
Barry
Wally.
Allen.
Eh, I gotta have a
Yeah.
Flash. Yeah, I understand that part, but like once you got the suit on, you're the Flash,
Sure.
and
And then
like
like
regardless of which version of the Flash, they gotta treat you as the comedic guy.
and then you
Just
got the Iris West the character. That for me that was just like, you just threw it in just to throw it in. Like
Just he needed to have a love interest apparently. That
yeah.
was just to throw
yeah, it
him
is
in.
weird that she wasn't in like more of the movie.
Yeah. Seems
Also,
like a
how
fair.
long was he gone?
Doesn't matter. Time is irrelevant.
Well, I'm just curious because like she leaves him a note on the apartment,
Well,
and I
that
was
you
like,
could argue that's just something that was always meant to happen once he returned to his present time.
oh, I'm just curious. Like, was he gone for like I never understood how much time passes when the Flash like goes back in time. So is he just returning to the? He didn't return to the exact moment he left.
No, that's true.
So yeah, that was another like weird. I don't know. Like this whole thing happened with like Avengers when they in Infinity War or Endgame when they started doing time travel shit, and you have to start like changing the rules. But like,
Mhm.
there's a point where when Superman and Supergirl both die the first time, and then somehow Second Flash not only knows how to use the Speed Force, but he knows how to go back to the exact point in time right before they died.
Right before they
And I'm
fucking
just
die.
like, when did you? I don't understand. Like, when did you even learn how to do that? Barry didn't learn how to do it until like earlier in the movie. So I don't know when this younger Barry. I don't know. They were just like it's like logistical stuff, and none of it's real, so it doesn't matter. But like,
Mhm.
and then to me, it's
like
like,
it's
then why are you
inconsistent.
doing it? If you're not going to make like rules that make sense, then why? Like, I don't. I turned my brain off for Transformers. The Flash is like a guy that uses science and math equations and shit. His shit should make sense. Optimus Prime isn't running fucking math equations when he's blowing up other robots. Like, the Flash is supposed to be the smart guy. So when I'm watching the movie and I'm like, how would this one know and the other one? I don't. Also, he does it perfectly. It's not like he misses it by 10 years. It's like he goes back exactly to the point
Yeah.
where they fuck up the fight, I'm just like, okay, so you're smarter than you just learned how to use all your powers. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of parts of this that just made me not like the way the movie was made.
And
Yeah,
that's okay. That's okay, man.
'Cause I used my Regal subscription, so and my popcorn was paid for, so
dude, it's
That's
great. Yeah, we don't pay for movies anymore. It's
yeah.
fantastic.
This video and this podcast is not sponsored by MC or Rego. Please sponsor us.
Yeah, we'd be down though. We would totally be
We'd be
down.
down to
so
watch all the
you
movies.
guys
So
go to
you won't.
primarily AMC or Regal?
No AMC. That's the one we
AMC,
pay for.
yeah.
Our AMC, my AMC out here, I have two of them. They both suck.
Yeah, it's the
And
opposite. And I mean, the Regals are nice, but there's just not that many of them.
my
Yeah.
Regal is like 3 minutes away. So
That's
Yeah,
fair.
that's-
That's
I
fine.
mean-
That's nice. That's a deal.
so just go out
that's a
there, watch a
win.
movie, and come back home.
We try to watch it in IMAX because IMAX or Dolby, mainly Dolby, because that's the better option. And it's included in our membership. So, why
Yeah,
not?
those movie subscription services are great, man. They really are.
I will
But-
say this: I
Especially
enjoyed this
for a
movie
movie
more
like
than Fast
this,
X,
yeah.
though. So
Oof. Is that a compliment? I guess.
yeah, because Fast X was
I'm not watching any Fast and Furious movie.
uh,
Gonna go watch The Blackening.
that movie was
Oh,
so bad.
yeah.
I'm no longer part of the family.
Oh no, you got excommunicated.
Excommunicado. John
I
Wick
haven't seen
style.
John Wick.
Damn, son. And you never will.
I mean, if you saw one of them, you pretty much saw all of them. So
Yeah, pretty much.
honestly, if you saw John Wick 2 or 3, then you've seen John Wick 4, just longer. So
Just longer and I guess a surprise ending. I don't know.
If you got to see a movie this summer, watch Spider-Man or Transformers or both of them.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you watched Transformers, right, man? What'd you
Yeah.
think?
That was great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. I might buy that. I think
Alright.
Chris is gonna get a day one.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely want to watch that. And I
'Cause
don't. I wish the Flash could go back in time and like erase this movie from my memory.
I wish I could go back and just watch.
I'd be
Transformers.
all right messing up the future if it meant he went back in time and I never went to see the movie.
What if that changes Back to the Future and is now Eric Stoltz like in the movie?
That was like I liked some of those funny little like tweaks of like, oh, this actor is famous now, although that was a literal plot point in Back to the Future too.
Word.
But whatever. But I like that kind of stuff. And he's like, oh, actually, this person's famous now, and this other one isn't famous. Or like they're in each other's movies. I thought it would have been funny if they did it with. And I guess they can't reference like Marvel superheroes.
No.
But it would have been fun if they'd found a way to like bring in some sort of superhero changes.
Wasn't there a Thor reference in the movie
Not really.
or something? I
can't remember.
forgot. There was someone they referenced. I forgot who though.
I don't
They
know.
say the Avengers in the end of Shazam.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that's probably because of the whole Captain Marvel Shazam thing that
Probably.
went on.
Anyways, that's gonna do it for this episode of the Three Amigos podcast. Tell us in the description. Tell us in the comments. Tell us everywhere. I don't care. Tell me how much you loved or hated this movie. Let's start the conversation. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful people of the podcast universe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.